Jalo Falava, greeting and welcome to this program of teachers for teachers professional development. And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to share with you my two presentations. The first one is on planning, and the second one is on the leadership and management. And I hope that these two presentations will helpful and assist you, not just only the teachers, but also the vice principal, head ODs, principals, students, parents, and community. Okay, let's have a look at the first presentation. Subject annual plan or yearly plan and term plan. So how to design or construct a subject annual plan and term plan. So these are the steps you have to follow. First one, find out the number of strands or the major topics of your subjects in the curriculum or syllabus. Second one, you have to count and record the number of achievement objectives or learning outcomes. Third one, calculate the weighting of each strand. I will show you how to calculate the weighting as we move along. The fourth one, to find out the number of teaching weeks and non-teaching weeks. The fifth one, use the school calendar to assist your teaching schedule. 6. Calculate the weighting of the strands for the teaching weeks. 7th, sort out the strands and their achievement objectives accordingly in appropriate number of teaching weeks. And lastly, insert a table to enter your data. Okay. Let's have a look at the Year 9 Science curriculum for the first example. So that's a part of the Year 9 curriculum. The first strand for the Year 9 Science curriculum, we have the Word of Life. So the Word of Life, that is the strand. Then the achievement objectives are given below, or the learning outcomes are given. So in Year 9 Science curriculum, there are 4 strands with 53 total number of achievement objectives. So down here, let's list down the number of the strands, the name of the strands, and the number of achievement objectives of each strand. So we have 4 strands as given here. The first one, Wall of Life, 13 achievement objectives. Strand 2, World and Beyond, 14 achievement objectives. The third one, Wall of Material, 15 achievement objectives. Strand 4, Wall of Physical Phenomena, 11 achievement objectives or learning outcomes. So the total number of achievement objectives, there are 53. So how to find the weighting? So the weighting of the strands of each strands. So to calculate the weighting of each strands, the number of achievement objectives of each strands divided by the total number of achievement objectives, then multiplied by 100%. So the first strands, there are 13 achievement objectives divided by 53, the total number of achievement objectives, multiplied by 100, then you will have 25%. The second one, 14 divided by 53, multiplied by 100, that gives 26%. Likewise, the third one, 15 divided by 53, multiplied by 128. The fourth one, 21. So if you add up this side, the total number of percentage here, that gives the total number of 100%. Okay, so looking at the school calendar, because your plan should be based on the school calendar. The school calendar is also based on the ministry, the MES calendar, yearly calendar. So I'm using my school calendar for example. So that's the example of my school calendar. So we have the terms. There are 4 terms: term 1, 10 weeks, term 2, 11 weeks, term 3, 10 weeks, term 4, 10 weeks, and the dates, starting dates and the ending dates of each terms are given. And then school, you have the school holidays during those terms, so you have to mention that in the school calendar. Likewise, the public holidays also given in the school calendar, and also the school events or school activities. Those are very important. So the principal is responsible for writing a school calendar, and that is the example of my school calendar. And the plan, the subject plan, annual plan, and term plan is also based on the school calendar, because we also have the school activities as given. Yeah, we have the sports, rugby, netball, and other sports like volleyball, and also athletics, school athletics, and champ of champs. Not just only the zone athletics, but also the champ of champs. And likewise, the rugby and other sports. So all those events should be inside the school calendar, and the dates should be given, so that your annual plan and your term plan should be based on that. So that's the example of the school calendar. Okay. So from the school calendar, so we could find that the number of non-teaching weeks and expecting the number of teaching weeks. So for the first term, so we have the rugby, netball, English day, holidays, and some emergency cases, such as we are having now the COVID-19. So those are some of example of emergency cases that the school closed. So therefore you have to plan in advance. So maybe we have 2 weeks for that, non-teaching weeks for the first term. The second term, we have the cricket, athletics, inter-houses competition, holidays, Salmon Day, and mid-year exam. Most of the schools are having a mid-year exam during that term. So we would have 3 weeks, non-teaching weeks for the second term. And the third terms, school athletics, champ of champ, and Parents' Day, speech competitions. So we can have 2 teaching weeks for the third term. And then the last terms, or the fourth term, so we have a national exam like School C and SSLC exams, and also school final exam, and prize givings and holidays. So we have 5 non-teaching weeks for the last term. So looking at the teaching weeks for each term, so 8 weeks out of 10, 8 teaching weeks out of 10 for the first term. Second term, 7 weeks out of 10, and the third one, 8 weeks out of 10, and the last one, 5 teaching weeks out of 10. So the total number of teaching weeks is 28. So your plan should be based on this number of teaching weeks out of 40. The total number of teaching weeks of school weeks should be 40, because there are 4 terms and 10 weeks for each terms. So your plan should be based on 28 weeks. So you should be planned in advance. That is very good and very important. So that's the summary of the teaching weeks given for each term. Okay, how to find out teaching weeks for each strands? So strand weighting multiplied by the total number of teaching weeks. So you have to find out the number of weeks that you are going to teach each strand. So for example, the first strands, so 25% of weighting multiplied by the total number of teaching weeks, that's 28, and that gives 7 weeks. So you have to spend 7 weeks to teach the first strands. Likewise, the second one, 26% multiplied by 28, that gives also 7 weeks. Strand 3, 28% multiplied by 28 weeks, that gives 8 weeks. Strand 4, 21% multiplied by 28 weeks, and that gives 6 weeks. So the total number of teaching weeks given is 28. So now you have the number of weeks for each strand, so and you have to follow that. Then the fifth one, sort out the strands and their achievement objectives accordingly in the appropriate number of teaching weeks. So create a table to present your information. So insert the table, select the number of columns and rows, and then enter your data. The example is given. Now you can have a look at the example of the annual plan, the Year 9 Science annual plan. So a subject annual plan is a 1 page. So that will be easier for you to look at and follow your teachings should be followed on that one. So for this table you have the strands or the units book you can write. So on this column, so you list down the strands. So strand 1, wall of life, 2, wall of materials, the third one, wall and beyond, and the last one, wall of physical phenomena. So that's the column of the strands or major topics. And then the achievement, the number of achievement objectives is given as you already calculated, listed here, and their percentage, and then the number of teaching weeks that you already calculated. So you have to write down all those information that's given before in this table. And then the terms, you have to write down the terms or even the dates that you are going to teach each strand. So for the first term, you can teach these first strands, 7 weeks, and then the second strands. So you can also, because your plan is in advance, because there are 10 weeks, but you can spend 7 weeks to teach the first strands, and then the first part of the second strands in the first term. So if you look at here, because the first terms, mostly we have the teachings in the first term, so we have to spend most of our time for teaching in the first term and the second term. Okay, so that is an example of the subject's annual plan. It's given the Year 9 Science annual plans. Okay. Then the term plan. So if you look at the curriculum, so you have to look at inside the curriculum, the achievement objectives or learning outcomes are listed. So you have to put down or write down or cut and paste or copy and paste those achievement objectives and put inside this table for your subject's term plan. So in this table you have the term here, term 1, just a part of the subject's term plan, because the term plan is bigger. It's more details. What is meant by bigger? It's more details than the annual plan or yearly plan. And then the weeks on this column, you can also write the dates. And then the strands, you can write the strand. And then achievement objectives or learning outcomes. Okay, so that is an example of a subject term plan. It's a Year 9 Science term plan. The second example, so I'm using the Year 13 Mathematics syllabus. So that's a part of the Year 13 curriculum or Year 13 syllabus, maths syllabus. So I'm using this as the second example. So the topics are given and also the learning outcomes. So given inside the syllabus. So again, you follow the same steps. You have to count the number of learning outcomes and in each strands. So here for the Year 13 Mathematics syllabus, so there are eight strands or major topics as given, as listed here, and their learning outcomes are given. So the first strands is given, for example, the algebra, there are 30 learning outcomes. So as you look through this one, the strands and their learning outcomes. So the total number of learning outcomes of the Year 13 Mathematics syllabus, there are 200. 8 strands and 200 learning outcomes. Again, you have to find the weighting of each strand. Follow the same steps. So the number of learning outcomes, for example, for the algebra, the first strands, there are 30 learning outcomes divided by the total number of learning outcomes 200 multiplied by 100%. That gives 15%. That's the weighting of the first strand or the algebra. Yeah. And then if you look below, so all those strands, 8 strands, and their weightings are also given as calculated. Again, look at the teaching weeks. So same teaching weeks as you already calculated before. So there are 28 teaching weeks. So your Year 13 Mathematics plan should also, teaching should be based on 28 weeks. Okay, calculate the numbers of weeks that you are going to teach each strand. Okay, follow the same steps. 15. For example, the first strand, algebra, 15% multiplied by 28, and that gives 4.2 weeks. So that's 4 weeks and 1 day, or 4 weeks and 2 days, like that. The second strand, 15% multiplied by 28, also 4 weeks, 4.2 weeks. And the third one, 2.3 weeks, until you, if you look at the listed below, yeah, all calculated, the strands and the number of weeks that you are going to calculate. So if you add up, the total number of weeks should be 28. So that's the number of teaching weeks, or the number of weeks that you are going to teach your Year 13 Mathematics syllabus. Again, then your plan. Take the table and then put your data in the tables. For the first column, you have the strands. You list down the strands in the first column. The second column, you have the learning outcomes. You write down the learning outcomes of each strand and their weighting, and then the number of teaching weeks for each strand, and the terms or dates that you're going to teach those strands. So the total, the bottom row, you have the total. So the total number of learning outcomes should be 200, that is 100%. And the total number of teaching weeks is 28. Total number of terms, there are 4 terms for each year. Okay, so that's the example of the annual plan, and this is the term plan. It's a part of the term plan. As we came across the year 9 science term plan, because the term plan is more details than the annual plan or yearly plan. Okay, this is a part of the year term plan. You have the term here, example term 1, then the week, and then the strands. So the first strands, algebra, and then list down the learning outcomes of that algebra. So the first term, so the first week you have these learning outcomes. So you have to look at the curriculum or the syllabus, and all the learning outcomes are listed. So you have to cut and paste or copy and paste in this table. Okay, so that is the example of the how to design and construct the subject annual plan and term plan. Thank you for watching. Tai foi mole sila mai mo mai manat foi ya wa mo foi sina so swan tu sungai fa ya onga pula onga ya falulungo chau tai tas ai lenga chai leo fa nau ma chua mai lan chu mo ulang lang fa tas. We need to work together for the development of schools and education in our country. Thank you.